We're so excited to be back with you for Life Groups Week 10. And first, before I start off on our questions for today, I just want to say a big thank you to all that helped out for our Easter service at the Courthouse Sunken Gardens. I know many of you just breathed life into that event, came and just gave it your all. So I just want to say thank you for that. I know a lot of life groups came and participated just as a whole life group, setting up chairs, food, kids. It was an amazing Sunday, and I think God was really honored. Just so great to see all those people come forward to receive Christ. Just got done with the welcome breakfast just a little bit ago. So great to see those people come to our church and really engage in what God has for them right here at Calvary Chapel, Santa Barbara. Also wanted to say that in the next week or so, I'm going to get out to you evaluations for your life groups. And what these are all about is just to get constructive feedback on what we could do better in our life groups, what's really going well, what's really not going well, so that we can make them better for the next season. So we'll have those to pass out to each one of your life group members so that we can get that positive feedback. And of course, we want that feedback from our leaders as well. Heading on to the material for this week, though, is that we have a great study in front of us where Daniel is able to interpret the handwriting on the wall. What a great study we have, and just how Daniel is able to come into this current culture and really the party that is going on right as he steps in and able to address King Belshazzar, to humble him, and to impact his world with the judgment that God has given him. What lessons can we learn from this? What applications can we get from this? Well, let's talk about just a few of them. First, where has God broken in on your life when you've been kind of off the wall or on the wrong track? How has God come in and said, hey, I really want you to turn away from that or stop doing that? That doesn't really please me. Well, we all have those situations, and Daniel was that guy for King Belshazzar. But how has God done that for you? I think it's the kindness of God that leads to repentance, and we really see that from King Belshazzar and Daniel and how they interact here. It's a wonderful thing how Belshazzar responds, even though he's going to take his last breath in just a couple of hours after this message has been received from him. Another great thing that we can talk about is just the sovereignty of God and how he holds every breath that we take in his hands. We often think that we're going to last a long time, even though we might be sitting beside that dying relative or that hear about the death or the cancer of somebody else. But we don't know the day and hours of our life, and each one of us needs to be prepared to live life to the fullest today, knowing that each day might be our last. And it's just a reality of the Christian life, and how each one of you in your life groups deals with that is an interesting question. I mean, do you think that this might, how do you deal with the thought of your death approaching, or when you're around somebody that is dying? How does that perspective shape how you live your life? I know I was just at the memorial for my mother-in-law just a few weeks ago, and it really made me think about some things in a deeper way about how I'm living life and what I'm doing with my children, how I'm pouring into my wife. Those sorts of things I think are really significant, especially when we start facing our own mortality or the mortality of those around us. So thinking a little bit deeper about those questions is just a great thing to think about. Other questions that we might have are just thinking about how we can address the current matters within our culture. Daniel has to come in and really address how the kingdom of Belshazzar has been found wanting. What are the issues in our day that we need to call out? For example, Pastor David talked about Network Medical and the good that they're doing in their community in order to stop abortions and to help mothers make that choice for life. How can we impact our world when we know that abortion is wrong and God has created those lives for a reason, but yet we're putting that in the hands of people in order to take those lives away? Well, what can we do about those situations in our culture of the time? It's a lot to think about. What are the other issues that we're facing in terms of gay marriage and all kinds of different questions regarding sexuality within our culture? How do we talk about those things in the world around us without, in a gentle way, but still a firm way, sharing our opinion and leading people to the light of Christ? It's a great question in order to think about in that way. Also, we think about this is that Belshazzar was actually rewarded Daniel for this message of judgment upon him. And we're thinking about the interesting ways in which God has placed us intricately within the culture in order to speak a message for that moment. Have you ever had a situation in which God just set up a circumstance in which you knew that you needed to share the truth about what was going on pertinent to that situation? Whether you had a word of truth or you had opinion to share. I believe that God places us in circumstances where He can really use us for His glory. When has that happened to you? Maybe you were promoted to a certain position in which you have more influence and you can talk about Jesus more freely or impact people with spiritual principles. It's a great thing to talk about, and how God might be using the position that you're in right now for His glory, even though you don't yet recognize it. So a lot of great things to think about in your life group this week. I hope you have a great one, and we'll get those evaluation forms out to you probably in the next week or so. Thanks.